Hey everyone, Jason back once again with another diecast video. In today's video, we'll be comparing the Autoroad 124 scale NHRA funny car Authentics versus Deluxe chassis. Now, I pick up all my NHRA diecast through my friends over at groundpounding.com. Link to their website will be in the video description below. Alright, first off I have to point out, on the left we have the Authentics chassis. On the right we have the Deluxe chassis. You can obviously see the detailed difference between Authentics versus Deluxe just by them sitting right here. But we'll go over in more detail of each car side by side through this comparison. First up, the Authentics chassis here on the left is all die-cast metal. You can feel that when holding it in your hands. Deluxe here in my right is all plastic. As you can see, there's a lot of missing details. We'll go ahead and start off on the front. On the front, we do have your black fuel cell with silver details on top. Got red fire extinguishers on either side of that. On the front, silver fuel cell, got the same painted details on top, but it's the same color. You have no fire extinguishers on that. On the Authentics, you have all the fuel lines and everything coming up from behind the fuel cell. That is just an empty space. Suspension, or lack thereof, no suspension, but you do have brake lines and brake detail. That is non-existent on the Deluxe chassis. That is also where one of the problems what I would always have is the brake lines on the car just are weird because they would always either come broken. I'd have several broken off, or they actually even make it hard to where the body won't shut on the car all the way. You do have brake detail behind both Deluxe and Authentics. Rubber tires are the same, it looks like anyways, and you still have posable steering. You can see here, we'll go ahead and show you that for example. Posable steering is on both cars. There you go, posable steering. Now on the Authentics chassis, you have the box here where I believe all the electronics are and like the brains of the car. You got your silver detail on top and simulated fasteners which are just molded in. You actually have a little more of that painted detail on the Deluxe, so there's, I guess you could count it as a win for the Deluxe chassis. Once again, there's your wheels and tires. Move on to the engine itself. That's where the biggest deal is. You got MSD ignition and everything on the Authentics engine. You got all the straps and everything. That just does not exist on the Deluxe chassis. On the front of the Authentics, you do have the belt. You can see that right in the front of the motor. On the Deluxe chassis, it is just molded in plastic. It's not actual rubber like it is on the Authentics chassis. On the side of the injector hat up there, you have your throttle linkage right here, which I will show in more detail. This little part right here would always be broken on my cars, and they do make the actual butterflies operate. You can see they do move. There you go. And in my opinion, that was an unnecessary detail. We don't need that on the car. If it prevents that little throttle cable from breaking, we don't need that. So as you can see, on the Deluxe chassis, you don't have that. And actually the butterflies themselves are molded in. They are not a separate piece. They are all one part of the injector hat there. On the side here, you got all the wires. Once again, there's MSD. All the detail down here on the frame. That does not exist on Deluxe. Even the headers are different. This is a 2023 release. This is 2024. You can see the difference in headers. May I also warn you that the engine and headers on the Deluxe are extremely fragile. They're not held in very well just by glue, and they will break. The tight fit of the body to headers are so tight that they will break the headers off if you're not careful. So watch what you're doing when you're installing the bodies on the new Deluxe chassis. So once again, you got all the straps holding the supercharger and the throttle injector hat and everything to the top of the motor. Got all those nice details there, which just don't exist on the Deluxe chassis. So once again, there's this side of the engine. Got all the straps. There you go. Right side. Right side. Move on to the steering portion. There is actually some steering on the Authentics. You move the steering side to side, and you can see there's an actual like linkage on the side, which does move the steering wheel up and down, which I never thought that was kind of weird that it moved up and down, but that just does not exist here on Deluxe. Once again, you move the steering, there's no linkage on the side. It's all static piece. The steering is actually just mounted to the center drive there. So you don't have that. I think even the roll cage is a different mold. Look at the roll cage here. I think the Deluxe one on the right is flatter top and it's more rounded on the top of the Authentics chassis here. You got all the levers right there. Guess what? Nothing there. No levers for driver and Deluxe. Authentics chassis, you have all that detail. You even have the titanium logo down on the bell housing. You can't really see it down there, but it's obviously not there on this. Driver's interior, you got actual seat with fabric belts and photo etched metal. Deluxe, it's just plastic, no seat belts, no nothing. Onto the back, you have silver details on that. On the hosing, you actually have silver painted details on the black hosing on this car. So there's that. Back here on the Authentics, you have the wheelie bar, which is actually metal with functioning little wheel, and you have the parachute cables. Put that to the side. Onto Deluxe. The wheelie bar is plastic and no parachute cables, and the little wheel, as you can see, is molded. It is not functional, so that's not a big deal, but it's there. So yeah, I mean, it's like you can hear things rattle. That is the rear axle and tires going side to side. But now with Authentics, it still does that, but it's just night and day difference. I mean, I will also say though, let's talk about price. These were Authentics releases were $120 plus shipping. So you're looking at well over $130 depending on who you buy from. The Deluxe chassis does come at a cheaper price point. Obviously, you still have, especially with the Toyota Supras, a new tooling, but whether it be Chevy or the Dodges, the Deluxe chassis comes in at $90 before shipping. So, I mean, that's the biggest deal. Also, all this detail is great, but also a lot of this detail, at least with me, I would have problems with breakage. And when I display my funny cars, I display them with the bodies down. I never display them with the bodies up. The only time you ever see the chassis is in one of my videos. After the video, the bodies go back on. They never come up again. So I'd rather, I mean, details are nice, but I'd rather have something like this that is less likely to break when putting the body on and all that stuff to never see the chassis again, than to have this when you're putting on the body and you hear a lot of crunching stuff because you have like the headers, the throttle linkage on the side, the brake lines breaking, all those details at 120 to 130 over $90 for this. I mean, you can say, oh, I'd rather have the details and all that, and yes, your opinion is valid. Details are great, like I've mentioned, but also I'd like to pay less and not have to worry about something break. But here is the bottom of the chassis. All the detail on the bottom. All the wheels and tires do roll on Authentics. And then here is the Deluxe. It is all sealed off. There's the chassis detail back here. Now I'm sure in the comments or even in Facebook groups that I'll post this video and people will say, hey, you know, Deluxe is crap because it's plastic. And yes, I will say, though, that the Deluxe chassis for Auto Road is a lot better than what Lionel Racing did in 2016, 2017, I believe, when they made plastic chassis and didn't even announce it. We knew far ahead of time that Auto Road was going to be doing the plastic chassis, Deluxe chassis. So we knew that ahead of time pre-ordering. So at least Auto Road was, you know, nice enough to let us know, hey, plastic chassis are coming. But like I said, the details are nice, but not at the cost of having stuff break on them. And these aren't cheap models, and a lot of them sell out before, long. So if you break something, you're going to have to try to fix it. And if you can't fix it, you're out of luck because you ain't going to be able to find them in stock anywhere, especially through groundpound.com. He sells a lot of the stuff out once they're pre-ordered. So in my opinion, Authentics, Deluxe both have advantages, disadvantages. I would say either or. I mean, I don't dislike either. Authentics chassis has its place in the collection. The Deluxe also has a place in its collection, and if we can get models at a cheaper price point with less things breaking, I'm all for it. So that is my comparison of the Auto Road 124 scale NHRA Funny Car Authentics chassis, Deluxe chassis that I picked up from groundpounding.com. Link to their website will be in the video description below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more. Let me know your thoughts on Authentics versus Deluxe. Keep it civil in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. You can find me on X at JasonAStrange69. See you next time for an all-new diecast review. Bye.